Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California with Morsels of a Thought number 1568. I am here this many consecutive days in a row to try to make you smile. I want to give you something to think about with Morsels of a Thought. Now, Morsels of a Thought does not mean that we give you information. Morsels of a Thought means that we try to give you some wisdom. Wisdom is to information like sculpted glass is to sand. So, wisdom is knowing the right thing to do, and doing it is called virtue. I want to bring more virtue into this world. I have had this goal since 1999 when I was actually, my brain actually had something to do with it today. So, Dr. Miller, um, Dr. Brody Miller, I'm going to talk about this. Your wife, actually, she got me this book. We were chatting, and I was so glad when she talked about this. So I asked her to come to you, Dr. Miller, and get the signature. And she came back, and then I said, "Can you please tell him to write down that I want permission to write a read it on my?" And then she ran back, and then ran over again and gave it this. And then you wrote in, "It would be an honor," and that we don't know what that refers to, but. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so my brain story is here. I will give you also my own brain story because I had many brain injuries myself in my lifetime. And the one significant one was where I came out of an operation with a lot of medication in my system. However, none of the medication was working because if I thought a bad thought, my body would hurt, the incisions would feel it, and my entire body would feel a strike of lightning through it. And this would happen about several hundred times a day because any word in your head, the word but is no good, the word shouldn't is no good, the word should is no good. It's if Dr. Miller might know everything about this. We're going to go into his book, and uh, so my brain story is that um, at that time I encountered. They say that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. In my case, that's what really happened. Dr. Yan Xing, who is uh, a well-known, regarded high energy qigong master that works for the Chinese government and for the U.S. government, and the National Institutes of Health has emitted qi, and that is, that's a brain function. And anyway, I had this aspiration. I said, I want to have the biggest goal in my life. And that's the thing they put on the wall that day. They said, you have to choose a big aspiration. And when I saw that, I said, I want to do this for the rest of my life. So I decided to join that practice. And that practice has a lot to do with how to train your brain as well. And I found that this is the kind of thing that we all need, virtue. Apparently, it's all about virtue. So I want to bring more virtue into this world. And then here is this prize of a book, Rocio Miller. Thank you so much, Rocio. Okay. So it's 5:10 a.m. my time. It was 5:10 when I started. And tomorrow and next week, I will be going to 6:10 a.m. So it will be an hour later than this. Today, I have a hand procedure. I'm going to have my operations on my hands, one hand today. So I have to be at the hospital early, pretty much as soon as I finish this live. I'm going to go. And tomorrow morning, we will meet at 6:10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. All right. A quick heads up, says the author. Some parts of this book might be hard to hear or seem rather offensive. It is not my intention to make anyone feel bad about where they are in their recovery journey. I understand that brain injury comes in many forms and there is no one size fits all solution, but if you're here, it's because you are ready for a change or a shift, and that's exactly what I'm going to help you achieve. This book is written for all the brave brain injury survivors dealing with the long lasting effects of post concussion syndrome or all the other many manifestations of brain injury. Like fluorescent lights used to kill me. Yeah. If you are navigating the challenges of life after an accident, you get how difficult it can be to reclaim your focus, your memory, your momentum, and your sense of normalcy. Even if you've experienced concussions before, the impact of this one may feel different, more severe, and more lasting. If it's been months and you're still battling with brain fog, memory lapses, and impulsiveness, while your relationships and professional goals seem to slip further out of your control, then you understand it can be hard to stay optimistic. You've probably tried many types of self improvement before, but right now you are at a crossroad. You want more clarity, more actionable steps, and real tools that can help you get back on track, not feeling isolated or abandoned by your friends and loved ones. You've tried lots of things, but nothing seems to work, or at least not for long. You're searching for a solution that goes beyond symptom management and drives deep into the root cause of your issues. This book will help you understand what's happening in your brain and how you can start recovering in a way that's practical, empowering, and specific to your unique needs. This isn't just theory, it's a proven approach grounded in both science and my own personal experience. The methods I share here helped me heal, and they've helped countless others do the same, says Dr. Brody Miller. No need to feel lost anymore. The path to recovery starts with understanding, and this book will give you that clarity and the tools necessary to take control of your healing journey. As you read through the pages, you'll feel a renewed sense of empowerment. You'll learn actionable steps and hear real life stories that show what's possible when you apply the right mindset and strategies. Let's get started. This book will push you to face the deep part of you and take the necessary steps toward a successful recovery. I'll be with you every step of the way because I know you can do this. Next, we have the introduction. The Doctor with a Broken Brain: How to Go from Foggy to Focused in 90 Days. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Lao Tzu. The Tao Te Ching. Lao Tzu. He said that in there. I tried to find it this morning, and the computer gave me all kinds of translations, except not that. Oh, and I said, well, yeah. Hi, I'm Dr. Brody, and I'm here to show you how to reclaim your memory, your focus, and your life, even if it feels like all hope is lost. My story isn't just about recovery, it's about resilience, rebirth, and the incredible power of the human brain to heal. I wasn't always known as Dr. Brody. In the past, people labeled me as a drunk, punk, drug addict, and failure. However, today, I am a well known brain rehabilitation specialist and an accredited doctor with a PhD. I'm living proof that no matter how far you've fallen, it's possible to rebuild and thrive. This is my wild story from failures to freedom. In 2013, I was a walking disaster. One warm summer night outside of a dingy nightclub, I found myself stumbling around, so drunk I could barely even stand. Liquid courage was pulsing through my veins, and I decided it was a good idea to pick a fight with a bouncer who was 3 times my size. The dude threw a vicious haymaker that knocked me out cold on the street. I was knocked completely unconscious for over 5 minutes as everyone froze in shock as to what just happened. To add insult to injury, the whole incident was caught on camera and went viral on the internet. Seriously, a local news TV station broadcasted my lowest moment to the world, and eventually, over 100,000 people had front row tickets to me at my absolute worst. I do not remember much from that time, but I do remember the shame and humiliation I felt as my parents watched the video. My dad took it especially hard as he responded in anger, saying, "I'm going to find this bastard and beat the out of him." SH blank T. The months that followed were a blur of pain, regret, and suffocating darkness. I fell into a deep brain fog and stayed isolated in my house for months. The world was a blur as I felt completely numb to everyone and everything. My memory felt like a shattered mirror, pieces scattered so far that I could hardly remember who I was anymore. The depression was relentless and followed me everywhere like a black cloud. I vividly remember staring at myself in the mirror, hating my own reflection, and pulling out my hair, asking questions like, "Why couldn't you have just died?" Life was pain, and pain was life for me. This is when my reckless nature truly went into overdrive. My decision making abilities became that of a 4 year old child again. Deep down, I was crying out for help, but nothing was coming to save me. I wanted to feel something, really anything, to make me feel alive again. So I got into rock climbing and combined it with taking drugs, taunting death with every ascent, but at least I felt alive again. Eventually, I got a DUI, and my family sent me to a 9-month drug rehab program. I graduated the first stage and moved to a step down program in Tucson, Arizona. I thought maybe, just maybe, that I was Humpty Dumpty and I could put all the pieces back together in my life again. Recovering from a brain injury is like one big scattered puzzle with pieces thrown all over the place that you have to slowly put back together. Ain't that the truth? However, I was doing relatively well until the day arrived which changed my life forever. It was a hot, sunny day, and I was speaking to my AA sponsor about the fourth step to admit my deepest, darkest secrets. And bam, out of nowhere, I felt an immense burst of energy, like all my walls were closing in. My panicking body literally screamed out in sheer pain, while my mind felt a deep sense of doom. Was I dying? I blacked out completely and awoke in a hospital bed. Doctors told me, "Mr. Miller, you just had 3 grand mal seizures." Oh, great. Doctors ordered a brain scan and discovered a 2.5 centimeter cavernous malformation, essentially a benign brain tumor, in my left frontal lobe that was leaking blood into my brain. That was the culprit that was causing the seizures. A few months later, neurosurgeons cut open my brain and removed the malformation. Was I on the right path finally? Sadly, no. Just 3 days after the surgery, I suffered another horrific series of seizures and was rushed back to the hospital. The ordeal escalated as I was airlifted by helicopter to a hospital in Phoenix. Thankfully, it turned out not to be life threatening, but it was an incredibly frightening time for all of us. Adding to the stress, I realized how broken the medical system was when my family was hit with a staggering bill of over $80,000 for the helicopter ride and treatment. The next few years, things did not improve. In fact, they worsened. I continued to have 3 grand mal seizures a month, hitting my head bloodying my nose and experiencing more concussions. Not exactly the best thing for brain health. They filled me up with all kinds of meds, antidepressants, antipsychotics, anti-seizure meds, etc. I ended having such a violent reaction to Keppra, an anti-seizure medication, that I started feeling homicidal. Have you ever felt that eerie feeling? Being suicidal is one thing, but to have the urge and drive to kill another person is equally as scary. I was acting insane. Well, I was insane. And so I was taken to a mental institution for a night. The AA wisdom, hospitals, jails, and mental institutions really rang true to me. There was only one ugly horseman left, and that was death. I ended up developing horrific chronic nerve pain in both of my forearms that was so bad that I couldn't even do a single push up without excruciating pain. My loving family and I constantly went from one medical professional to the next, test after test, desperately searching for answers, but we only received confused looks and blank stares from the doctors. Hmm. Personally, I've never had that happen, so that is very, very dismaying to hear that that could happen. Back to the author. Maybe you've been there or somewhere like it. Perhaps you're struggling with brain fog, memory lapses, or a sense that life as you knew it is slipping through your fingers. I see you. I know the questions that keep you up at night. Will I ever feel normal again? Can I get my life back? The answer is a resounding yes. This book is proof. The truth is, your brain is not broken. As a matter of fact, it's capable of incredible healing. Neuroplasticity, the science of change, is the key to rewriting your brain's story. It's not just theory. It's the very thing that saved my life. For those of you who may not know, neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain and nervous system to change, heal, and adapt in response to our deepest beliefs, thoughts, emotions, actions, behaviors, and habits. I'll put this over here. The healthcare system doesn't want you to believe this. They want you to be reliant on their opinions and authority, but they are dead wrong. Neuroplasticity gave me hope in my darkest hours. I'm not the only one who has witnessed the power of neuroplasticity. Friends of mine have defied the odds, recovering from injuries like diffuse axonal injury, one of the most severe forms of brain trauma. 90% of people diagnosed with this form of injury never emerge from a minimally conscious state. They too were told their futures were bleak, and they too proved the experts wrong. What I spoke of above is why I call myself the doctor who used to have a broken brain, quote, end quote. Because at the time of my injury, doctors told me that I had a broken brain, and now, ironically, I am a doctor with his PhD. How ironic! I am living proof that you can make a comeback with your brain. Health, regardless of how bad it seems. You can come back with your brain health, regardless of how bad it seems. Sorry, I am living proof that you can make a comeback with your brain health, regardless of how bad it seems. Regardless of what a whitey tighty underwear wearing doctor tells you. Listen, life is not easy for anyone. I've hit rock bottom. I've hit rock bottom in life several times now. The first was having seizures in hospitals, and the second time when I had to serve a 60-day jail sentence for my several DUIs. Mental health issues are very real and something we all need to seriously focus on taking more care of. But no matter how far you fall, I promise you can always make the choice to change your life for the better. The ability to make different choices from yesterday is what separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom. Choose wisely. And best of all, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because it is just a sneak preview of the amazing wisdom of what is to come in this book. Uh, I was about to tell you something more about my brain history, but I have to say, everything that he's saying rings so true to me. I uh, Why does this book focus on memory? And what will you accomplish from reading the book? Memory is the foundation of who we are. I didn't fully grasp its importance until I lost mine after the bouncer incident. My short term memory was so poor that I was forgetting virtually everything, like where my wallet was or what was spoken of in recent conversations. This book is called Brain Rescue because that is exactly what it is designed to do: rescue your brain. My mission is to share the tools I wish I had after my injuries. Memory is also one of the most complex and misunderstood phenomena in the entire universe, but it is one of the most essential aspects of living a healthy and happy life. It is my goal to demystify memory, break it down into actionable steps, and prove to you that you can get your memory back and sharper than ever before, even after a brain injury or multiple concussions. This can be accomplished without having to go to countless doctor's visits, take medications with horrific side effects, undergo risky surgeries, and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. I am here to show you that it isn't as difficult or complicated as you think, as long as you are willing to put in the time and effort. If you're skeptical, good. You should be. The traditional medical system is broken, and sadly, there are more scams than ever before in these modern times of AI, where it is difficult to decipher real from fake. The hard questions. If you've picked up this book, whether it's for a loved one or for yourself, you're likely grappling with painful questions like: why do I still have brain fog months after my injury? Shouldn't I be feeling better by now? Will my memory ever come back, or is this something I'll have to live with forever? How do I know if my brain is healing or just getting worse over time? Could the memory loss and damage from my injury be irreversible? Am I at higher risk for developing Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, or other awful brain diseases? Or you may be feeling a sense of guilt and shame for using your family's money and time for your recovery, sick and tired of others feeling pity for you and your situation, exhausted. It's difficult to find the motivation to just get out of bed on some days. Overwhelmed and distracted because it's difficult to control your focus at all. Or you're just sick and tired of being clucking sick and tired. If you identify with one or more of the above, then this book is definitely for you. As you probably know, recovering from a brain injury is hard. It's a lot of work, but do you know what's even more difficult? Hoping and praying for a different result without taking the steps needed to create a change. Your brain is an incredible organ designed for survival and energy conservation. But make no mistake about it, we will always do more to avoid pain than to create pleasure. Brain injuries catapult us into a chronic state of survival. To move away from pain and discomfort, we tend to think about pain and discomfort. This is a huge trap. In recovery, it is so important that we focus our attention and energy on what we do want versus what we don't want. Think of recovery like climbing up a slow, icy, dangerous mountain. There will be obstacles and setbacks, no doubt, but it will do you absolutely no good to focus on the obstacles. It is all about refocusing on where you do want to go versus where you don't want to go on the mountain. Think of me like a Sherpa, helping guide you up the mountain and giving you tips. But ultimately, it is up to you to climb the mountain. So, as you read every word of this page, I will address those questions in my highest understanding of the truth, but not just from studying textbooks, cough, like most doctors, but from a place of experience. Now, pay close attention. And we will start on page 20 of the introduction. All right. So I will see you tomorrow. We are starting to show at 6:10 tomorrow and next week for Brain Rescue. And I'll talk to you again later. Okay. Old Kinderhook.